Unsung Murder Ballads discusses topics of a disturbing nature.
And we're not going to hold back on the graphic details and disturbing content.
So we do not recommend our podcast for children under the age of 13.
And while we respect the victims and their families involved in these tragic cases,
we're also going to be critical of mistakes that are made during the investigations.
And we're going to use dark humor to express ourselves now and then.
So with that said, this podcast may not be for everyone.
And that's okay. We're glad you're here checking us out.
And if you've made it this far, welcome to the Unsung Murder Ballads family. And follow us on Instagram at Unsung Murder Ballads if you want to talk to us.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Unsung Murder Ballads. This is episode 148. I am Janus Dead.
I'm Jameson Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
All right, so after our fumbles episode, our / break, we are back with an actual murder this time. So there's that. So
successes, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know, I know it's sometimes they're brutal. This one I promise isn't super, super brutal. It is gross. I will warn you. It's fucking gross.
I'm very interested to know what that means.
Oh, and I'm gonna leave you in suspense for a little bit. Where I've saved that
because
for
when
a
you
great
say
moment.
Gross, I'm thinking about like Ed Gein.
I can see that, but that's not the direction this is going in. And with that said, did you notice the new Ed Gein documentary or series is on Netflix?
I haven't started it yet, but I definitely want to. It looks great.
It does look interesting. It's done the way they did Dahmer, so there's actual actors, and it's done like a series. So it's not a documentary style. It's it's done like a movie, which is cool. So I haven't watched it yet either, but I plan to.
Interesting.
I know, Ed Gein, I'm curious. I just hope they don't overdo it with him because it would be easy to fuck that up.
Would be very easy to fuck it up. And the fact that there are already so many horror movies that like that case feeds into. I'm curious how even those stories that have been told based on this story would impact the way this story is now told.
Right. Or if they're going to try to go to a greater extreme to make it even more shocking kind of thing.
Right. To make you want to watch this rather than, watch Silence of the Lambs.
Exactly. So, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I haven't watched it yet, but it is on my list. And it's funny that you brought that up. I love it. You're like, yeah, Ed Gein gross? No. Different kind of gross, and we'll get there. Trust me.
Look at me. I recognize the serial killer. I brought them up. Guys, we're growing throughout this podcast.
All right, so here we go. This is little slight intro before the teaser. So we're going to talk about broken homes a little bit, which I don't like the term broken homes because, I mean, I grew up in a family that I had a single parent, and I don't consider my home broken because of that. You know what I mean? So, But when people use that term, it kind of bothers me. However,
is that what they technically mean by that?
Yeah, a broken home is like
a single parent home is broken home.
A broken home is usually a divorced home, but they don't consider a single parent home to actually be like normal. It's obviously not a nuclear family. So
gotcha.
And as of 2020, 25% of children in the U.S. were living in single-parent homes. That's an interesting stat I found, which was triple what it was in 1960.
Holy
wild!
Hell.
Yes.
I mean, I believe it. I mean,
yeah, we're just making different decisions. You're not as pressured into marrying and staying married, I think.
Right. I don't know if they were able to have no-fault divorce back then.
Yeah, you're right. That could be a big thing. And obviously that's going to vary from state to state as well.
And also, like, if you have an abusive husband in 1960, you want to leave him, cool. You're not able to feed your children.
Right. And it was worse in decades before that.
Yes.
Exactly. So as I stated, my parents had me when they were 18. They weren't married. I grew up in a single household. And I like to think that my childhood wasn't broken, but at the same time, I can't say it didn't have an effect on my childhood because, I was a shithead. Let's be honest. Like, that's the best way to say it. Now, and I say that because my mother couldn't control me after a certain age, and my father was an asshole and still is. So I rebelled. I rebelled against him every opportunity I could. And if I had been in the situation that the two brothers of this case found themselves in, I think I would have done something very similar to what they did.
Oh, shit.
Yes. So that's going to lead us into the teaser.
Oof.
That's not the teaser?
No, that's just my little opening dialogue. So Dylan Redwine disappeared from his father's home in Vallecito, Colorado. He was visiting his father for Thanksgiving on a court-ordered visit. Now, when I say court-ordered, I mean like the court didn't say, the gavel didn't come down and they didn't say you have to go spend a weekend with your father. It was, a divorce. It was shared custody, and Dylan was required to spend that time with his father by law.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they made a mom gets Christmas, dad gets Thanksgiving or something like that.
Well, we'll get into it, but the mother had most of the custody. She had the children most of the time. So for the holidays, Thanksgiving that year was dad's. Dylan lived with his mother and his brother in Colorado Springs, and he disappeared one day after arriving at his father's place. The search to find Dylan, the people searching for him, grew daily, which included volunteers, many of which were his friends from the area he grew up in, which was only 20 miles away from where his father lived, where he went missing.
Whoa.
Now, his friends told the Durango newspaper, this is Colorado, that they believed that Dylan may have been hitchhiking to see them and was probably abducted.
Oh, shit.
And there's also other theories. Did he run away? Or did something worse happen to Dylan? Now, the worst part of this case...
Something worse happened.
Well, the worst part in terms of what we don't know, or what you're about to learn, is that all this ties back into something Dylan found on a family member's computer.
Oh, God.
And it is by far one of the grossest things we will ever cover on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit.
We've covered a lot. How is this? Oh, God.
I'm nervous.
This is gross in a very different way. So,
all right, I'm going to stop eating my soup for a moment.
Well, you got a little bit of time, I promise. I'm leaving you in suspense on that for a little bit.
Just tell me when to stop eating my soup.
It's going to sneak up on you quick, so I would suggest, going with your instinct there and stopping eating.
You'll
All right.
You'll know when I start talking about what was found on a laptop, okay?
Heard.
That'll be your clue to put your food down. That's true for the audience as well. If you're eating while listening to us, you might, when I start talking about a laptop, put your shit down.
An important disclaimer for all.
All right, so this is the case of Dylan Redwine. Now, Dylan was born on February 6, 1999, to parents Mark and Elaine. He had an older brother, Corey, that he was very close to, even though Corey was 7 years older than he was. Now, Corey swiftly took his little brother under his wing, vowing to never leave Dylan to deal with those uglier parts of life. Corey has said that he always remained in close relationships with him despite the age gap, and that he really enjoyed being an older brother. The Redwine household, which was usually calm, like a normal household, and the family of four frequently went on these family trips. One of the boys', and maybe Mark's as well, the father, one of their thing was that they wanted to visit every baseball field in the U.S., and it was something they were working towards. This kind of reminds me of your dad, Joyous, where he wanted to go on every major roller coaster or something like that.
And we did. We went on an awesome road trip where we both went to a bunch of baseball parks, and we went to so many roller coaster parks.
Yes.
So we did do this, and it was awesome. It's a very fond memory.
Nice. And that's what it's funny because that's exactly what that made me think of. I was like, I'm going to include that little detail.
Cute. Yeah, that's a fond memory of mine.
So when not on these trips, Dylan and Corey continued to have their own adventures, as kids do. They like to ride dirt bikes and explore the woods and play sports. And Dylan obviously looked up to his older brother. In fact, Corey was kind of the model big brother, again, taking Dylan on these adventures and guiding him through his experiences. Things were somewhat normal in the Redwine household until Dylan turned 7 and Corey reached his teenage years. It was around this time that Mark's mother, Elaine, was working outside the home, while her husband, Mark, stayed at home to take care of the kids. And from Mark's point of view, that's where he and Elaine's relationship began to fall apart. Now, Dylan's relationship with Mark was always different from the way his brother Corey's relationship had been. because Dylan was younger and his father kind of treated him softer, I suppose. They were more like buds than they were father-son. So Dylan would go to his father when he had issues before he would go to his mom.
Mm-hmm.
So from Mark's point of view, this was because Elaine was working and developing her career, and she sort of lost sight of the fact that she wasn't there to bond with her children. At least this is Mark's point of view.
Interesting. So being a father? She's taking the typical father role of being outside the house.
Gotcha. I understand now. Yeah, basically. So as Dylan had started school, Mark wasn't needed at home as much to take care of the kids. So he got a job and basically started driving trucks. And soon after, he and Elaine began divorce proceedings, because at this point, it was clear they weren't really going to work out. Now, they cohabitated for about a year, despite their separation and plans for imminent divorce, which made things a little difficult for the boys. And it was a nasty divorce.
Oof.
Dylan and Corey favored their mother, as they found that spending time with her was more enjoyable for them.
Kids are very observant, even at a young age. They'll see what's happening during a divorce.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that came up I didn't include here, was that the older brother, Corey, was always upset with the father, Mark, for always bad-mouthing his mother when they were together. So he didn't enjoy that part.
Yeah, you really shouldn't do that to your kids.
Right. Now, for the boys, there was never any doubt who their primary parent was, and the relationships evolved as the years went on. When the initial divorce happened, Mark was adamant about having custody, and that Elaine should be paying him child support.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah,
whoever has custody should be paid child support. That makes sense.
Right.
I don't see why he would get full custody.
Well, I'm in terms of full custody, I don't know, but I'm assuming he thought he could get child support because she had an actual career where he had only recently started driving trucks. So I think he had less income and thought for whatever reason he would get custody and therefore money from her.
That's never how it works.
You're not normally, no. Especially because you're driving a truck, you're never going to be home.
Yeah, but you're away from home probably for long stretches.
That'd be my guess.
But not everyone can be the brightest bulb in the shed. So
I think most people are very dim bulbs.
I would venture to agree.
It's kind of a dark Christmas tree around this podcast.
Yes, indeed.
So by the time the divorce was in full swing and custody hearings were taking place, Mark Redwine had purchased a small remote cabin about an hour drive into the mountains northeast of Durango, Colorado. This was literally 5 hours from where Elaine and the boys were living in Colorado Springs.
Okay, great. So not very helpful at all.
No, not at all. Like, he wants custody and he thinks the court's going to let him take them 5 hours away from their mother. Kind of a weird
He's
thing.
an idiot.
However, after the custody hearings, he was awarded 50% custody.
Insane.
Wow.
But then, according to reports, he was just sort of gone. He rarely saw the kids. He was out on the road far too often and therefore was never around to even take advantage of 25% of his custody, let alone 50.
Oh.
Yep, classic. And because the court has ordered 50%, I'm sure he doesn't have to pay as much child support as he should have to.
Right. It's a clusterfuck at that point. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So even more than before, the boys wanted to be with their mother because they knew that she would take care of them regardless of any financial situations. But Mark didn't really stop trying to keep his son's affections, or earn them for that matter. Now, Corey was older, and he was less interested overall. So Mark focused on Dylan and essentially tried to buy his son's love. Dylan only saw his father, Mark, once or twice a year, but he would come home with a lot of new things that his father showered him with every time he did see him.
Classic.
Periodically, there would be a road trip or maybe a one-night visit here or there, but Dylan loved being in the city of Colorado Springs, which compared to where his father lived in the mountains, is a metropolis.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in a way, this reminds me of my own childhood. I grew up in a fairly rough neighborhood in the city I grew up in, and you always had to be on your guard because, there were criminals about. Like, this wasn't a good area. So my friends and I tended to travel in groups to stay safe. And my father always lived in like more of the suburbs and never understood why I hated being at his house. And the answer was twofold.
Suburbs people don't get it.
Right. And the answer is twofold. I didn't like my father, and there was nothing happening out there.
You could walk forever and there's nothing.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it was dangerous to go out alone in my neighborhood at night, but I'd rather that than be sitting in a living room listening to crickets for fucking miles and miles. You know what I mean? There was nothing happening.
Right. It makes me itch. It makes my skin crawl.
Right. Exactly. Oh, yeah. You're in an even bigger city than I am. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, whew, if I can't walk to everything I need, I'm spooked.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I can't. Yeah. Anyway, as we know from the teaser, Dylan is going to disappear, and there was no indication that he didn't want to live with his mother as she lived in the city. Dylan adored his mom and his brother, and he loved living in Colorado Springs. According to Corey, his brother, Dylan didn't care so much about spending time with his father. In fact, he was not looking forward to his court-ordered visitation. Mark's house wasn't full of fun activities, and to top all that off, it was in the middle of nowhere, far from all of Dylan's friends. Exactly. It was just a cabin in the mountains filled with all those things that a middle-aged single trucker would want, which is, I don't even know what that would look like.
I feel like there's like maybe I'm stereotyping, but like a spooky mounted animal head on the wall. Some knives, maybe a gun or two not properly secured.
Right? Just this creepy shit, like a fucking pitchfork, right?
Yeah.
So certainly nothing for a 13-year-old boy to do would be in that cabin, right? However,
a little too old maybe to want to be like climbing trees.
Right, exactly. And to kind of help paint the picture here, in the summertime, there was a lake that one could hike to, and that was about it. There were a lot of campgrounds, but that meant a lot of tourists in the summer. And this is November. Well, that's what we'll get to. But yeah, but I'm telling you, this is the height of it, right? So, and in the winter, which November, like you're saying, there's absolutely nothing. It's too cold up in that mountain for anything, and very few people lived in that area. So this brings us to Thanksgiving of 2012, and that's when 13-year-old Dylan, still being under the age of 18 and required to spend this time with his father, had to go up and visit him. Now, he was resisting this trip. He dreaded the boring days ahead. And he wanted to stay with his mother for her Thanksgiving cooking. Because as you can imagine, I don't think the dad's cooking shit.
Oh, God, no.
He's probably doing his best, and his best is not very good.
It's going to be a liquid Thanksgiving at his place.
It's, you guys are so good. I'm telling you, I don't even have to do these cases anymore. I'll just drop clues and you guys start filling in the blanks. Like podcast Mad Libs, right?
Yup.
Oh my God, that'd be great to create those.
You know what? I'm thinking we might have to experiment. Maybe April
Can we do an episode like that?
That's what I'm saying.
We're just so good at riffing.
Right. So Mark was a heavy drinker. And so when he wasn't working, he was pretty much intoxicated all the time. So Dylan didn't want to be around him for Thanksgiving. But unfortunately for Dylan, his mom had to put him on a plane on November 18th, 2012 to spend that holiday with his father. It was a quick routine flight, and Mark met Dylan at the airport to take him up to that cabin. And as he always did, Dylan texted his mother Elaine to let her know that his father had picked him up. That would be the last time she ever heard from him.
Oh shit.
Now, Dylan wasn't thrilled to be with his father, but he was actually excited to be near the town of Bayfield, where he grew up, to spend some time with friends that he had there. Now, after Dylan landed, he and Mark stopped at Walmart to buy food and other provisions because Mark didn't have much at the cabin. And as we were just saying, Mark hadn't actually bought anything for Thanksgiving because he did not have a concrete plan for what they were going to do. Yeah. Fuck that. I'm sorry. Like, I know
sucks.
I'm not a father. I don't know what it's like. I know I can be irresponsible when it's just me. But if I had a guest coming, I think I would have taken care of that.
You would have thought about it at least a little bit.
something. I would have had something in mind. Maybe I wouldn't have baked a fucking turkey, but
It's harder. It's really hard. I tried last year and I failed.
right. That's all right. Intriguing.
Oh, they have to apparently defrost for a really long time, and
Oh,
I
you
failed
didn't
to
know
defrost it for
that.
long enough.
Okay.
Well, I knew they took a long time, and I took it out like a day and a half in advance, and that wasn't long enough.
Okay. All right. Funny story, since we're talking about turkeys. When I was in the Marine Corps over in Okinawa, Japan, some Marines and I had gotten a turkey for, I don't remember if it was Thanksgiving or Christmas, and we tried to cook it on a barbecue grill.
Oh, well, yep, that sure didn't go very well. How was your raw turkey after?
Well, it took us like the entire day. I think we spent 9 or 10 hours trying to cook it. And then finally, one of the officers had come by and she had seen what we were trying to do and offered up her oven to finish it. And in the end, there was like a layer of the outer layer was so bad, so thick and gross. It was pretty much like leather. We had maybe a half an inch worth of edible meat, and then the rest was just rotten and raw and disgusting. So
yeah. It's not easy.
No, it's not. And so I'm not judging him for not trying to get a turkey. I'm just saying he should have had a better plan in place if he knew he was going to have his son for Thanksgiving. That's all I'm saying. After they went to Walmart, Dylan and his dad stopped at McDonald's to grab some late food, and they drove up to the cabin. The two arrived at the cabin around 8:30 on that Sunday. So that same day, after Dylan arrived at the airport and they're driving, Dylan began texting one of his friends in that area, trying to make plans to hang out with him. And the text basically went as follows. His friend asked how the flight went, and Dylan says, "Weird. My head went numb from all the vibrations." And then the friend's like, "Well, I'm in Pagosa. Are you coming?" And he's like, "I can't come. Sorry. We'll hang out tomorrow." So they go back and forth a little bit about why he can't go. And he's like, his dad said no, blah, blah, blah. So Dylan asks this kid if he can come over that morning at 6:30. And the friend says yes. And he says, "Well, you better let me in." And he says, "Well, I'm going to be at my grandmother's house." So Dylan essentially made plans. And his friend had instructed him to call him as he was arriving to his grandmother's house. So that night, Dylan and Mark watched a movie. And Mark went up to bed around 10:30, leaving Dylan to sleep on the couch. And this is another reason I think...
sucks.
Exactly. This is another reason why I think Dylan doesn't want to fucking stay there. You're making him sleep on the couch.
Yeah, and how long does he have to stay there and sleep on a couch? That's not fun. I can't imagine it's a nice couch.
Even if it was, you're still sleeping on a fucking couch in a cabin.
Yeah, that sucks.
Pass, you don't even have your own room. There's no privacy. You're 13. So the next morning, Mark had gotten up to run errands because he apparently had a payroll issue that needed immediate attention. And I have to say, this next part of what Mark reports leaves me wondering what exactly happened. The reports that I read are weird. There's a lot of different stories from different sources, so I don't know what to make out, but this is the best I can figure out. Either Dylan asked for a ride to his friend's house and Mark wouldn't do it. Or maybe Dylan didn't want to get up and leave with Mark. Or maybe Mark wanted to take Dylan with him on these errands. It's really unclear.
Okay, well,
interesting.
the first two definitely sound like they're plausible. The
Right.
one where, Mark wanting to bring him with him, not so much.
No, if my son was visiting and I'm about to drive however long into a town, maybe I do want to take my son. We can get breakfast somewhere. You know what I mean?
But he's not dad of the year. He's drunk.
Agreed. But either way, I don't know. It's weird. And it's unclear. There are so many conflicting reports. And as we'll see as we go, spoiler, Mark's the reason why they're so conflicting. So he doesn't know. Or he's described it so many different ways that it's unclear.
Interesting.
So either way, Mark left Dylan at the cabin. So when Mark returned home, Dylan wasn't there. But he didn't think much of it at the time because it wasn't that unlike Dylan to just wander off and go on like an adventure. He basically waited a bit because he wasn't concerned.
Right.
Because Mark would walk down to the river. He would go here. Sometimes he would go to those campsites, although it's fucking November and cold. But it wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't until 2:30 in the afternoon that Mark realized Dylan still wasn't home, and he wasn't responding to his text messages. And then he went out and looked for Dylan. The problem was, Dylan seemed to have taken everything he brought with him, like on this trip. He took all that with him when he left, kind of making it look like Dylan wasn't planning on coming back. So that afternoon, Elaine, Dylan's mother, received a message from Mark asking if she knew where Dylan was.
Oh, come on.
Can you imagine the terror?
Your son's with your deadbeat ex-husband, and he says, "Oh, you know where he is."
Yeah.
I would be so pissed as the mother. I'd be like, what the fuck do you mean you don't know where he is?
Yeah, you're 5 hours away and you've lost him? Like, what the fuck? So
yeah, I'd be so pissed.
So Elaine quickly gathered up her family. They jumped in the car and they sped off to the area around Durango. They arrived on the 19th, which is the day after Dylan had arrived, roughly at 11:30 or midnight that night. And that's when they sat down and began to plan on what they needed to do and where they needed to search, etc. Now, as far as Dylan's friend that he had made plans with, there were more texts. After Dylan hadn't arrived, his friend had sent a text that said, "Where are you? Come to Nando's," which I'm assuming is a friend. And Dylan's friend continued texting him throughout that evening. And he was like, "Dude, your dad's looking for you. Are you all right, dude? Dude, you need to call somebody. Anybody, ASAP. We're all worried about you. Your mom called. She's worried, bro. Seriously, when you get this message, call someone."
Oof.
Dylan likely made his attempt to stay with this friend soon after arriving in an effort to cut down the amount of time he would have to spend in the boring cabin with his father. Now, Corey, his brother, also revealed something really fucked up that Mark did. During dinner, whenever the two boys were with him, if the boys didn't like their food or wouldn't finish it, they would often get up and throw the food in the trash. But if Mark realized that they had done that and he felt they didn't eat enough, he would make them eat the food out of the trash can.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Corey retold this one story. I didn't really include it here, but it went on about just how nasty some other things in that trash were that were mixed in, and he made Dylan eat this.
That's fucked.
Yeah.
No wonder they hate their dad.
And that's not even the grossest part. We'll get to it, though.
Oh, man, that was just the first gross.
That was the teaser of gross.
Oh, man.
So when the two boys were together with Mark, they'd become a unified front and they would look out for each other. By 2012, Corey was an adult and he was choosing not to spend any time with Mark. But Dylan at 13 had no choice thanks to the courts. These forced visitations would have to be navigated without the help of his protector, his older brother.
That sucks.
So when Corey found out that his little brother was missing, he jumped into action, yearning to directly confront his father, and he drove up to the house, that cabin. And in any normal family situation, divorced or not, you would think that everyone would want to come together and find a missing family member, no matter what it took. You'd think that they'd want to put all these differences aside, right? But the response Corey received from his father when he went up to that cabin was just a calm and collected Mark that didn't seem all that worried, and that enraged Corey. He even said in an interview that he had to stay away from his father because he was afraid he would do something violent to him.
Damn.
So a week had come and gone, and there was still no sign of Dylan. Mark wouldn't speak to Elaine or the other family members.
That's insane.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Every time she tried to contact him, he accused her of harassing him.
What?
Oh my God, about your missing son. What a fucker.
It's your son. Come on.
Yeah, he was being difficult and evasive, and he frustrated the fuck out of everybody. Now, search and rescue teams had scoured every corner of the forest surrounding Mark's property, and by this point, the FBI had become involved as well. But there was still no sign of Dylan. Now, to reach a larger audience, Dylan's family members all agreed to go on the Dr. Phil show. They figured,
Wow.
yeah, national
Wow.
audience, fuck it, let's do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mark made an appearance alongside both Corey and Elaine. Now, their mindset was that this was a good platform to get Dylan's face and story out there. While they didn't want Mark there, they weren't really that concerned about him being there. They just thought, since he wasn't giving them enough attention before, why is he here now? But they
Right.
didn't.
It's weird for him to show up, but
Right.
it's not like the end of the world.
Right, and they didn't think anything more like nefarious had gone on. The show didn't go the way that Mark Redwine probably hoped that it would have. Dr. Phil forced him to go back through his story. And he said that he had left his house in the early morning hours that Monday, the 19th of November, and that when he returned home around 11:30 that same morning, Dylan was gone. He said he had taken a nap until about 1:30 in the afternoon. It was only after this nap that Mark realized that his texts and calls weren't being responded, and he started calling Dylan's friends and eventually texted Elaine to let her know that her son was missing. Now, the Dr. Phil special not only raised awareness about the family's missing child, it put the spotlight directly on Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Several times, Dr. Phil's team requested that Mark take a polygraph test to clear his name. And Mark was super non-committed about that. And he just kind of refused, proclaiming maybe now isn't the right time for me to be taking a polygraph test.
And honestly, I mean, no one should ever take a polygraph test.
Agreed, but for the sensationalism of a show, I can see why they would push it.
Oh, I know why they would push it, but for all the things that his father's done wrong, I will say any lawyer would tell you,
Yes,
do not take that test.
agreed. So everyone that watched that episode of Dr. Phil suddenly had the realization that Dylan's father not only had the time and opportunity to make his son disappear, but they got the impression that he was capable of doing it.
Oof.
Something was off, and the public was catching on.
Ooh.
Now, Corey Redwine, the older brother, on the other hand, he knew a lot more about his father than Dr. Phil's production team. He knew that Mark was, as he put it, a sick guy.
Ooh.
Throughout his entire childhood, Corey found sick things of Mark's, like magazines and things like that. When Mark first bought that cabin, it had a completely different layout than it had in 2012 when Dylan disappeared. There was some sort of fire or something, and he was forced to renovate it. So, it just looked different. And, that was the time that Dylan went up was one of the first times he had been back up there since that renovation. And that does play in a little later.
Interesting.
Yeah. There was a point where Corey was wandering around the house, that cabin, and he found a spare room where Mark stored extra clothes and random shit like that. And he had seen a tool bag on top of some sort of junk or something, and he opened it up to see what was in there. What he found inside that bag, that it was filled with women's panties, brass knuckles, and guns.
What?
Yeah, and guns.
Okay, well, that's just a sick combination.
So it made Corey wonder what his father was involved in. Now,
Wait, what was the third thing?
Guns.
Oh, great.
Yep. So Corey was only 14 when he discovered these items hidden there. And over the years, he would come upon other small items and clues that further kind of solidified in his mind that his father was not the person that he thought he had known. He also found a lot of drug paraphernalia throughout the years. And the more he thought about those things, the more his father scared him.
I bet.
According to Corey, Mark did some things sometimes that were bizarre and extreme. For example, during the divorce, Mark would sneak into Elaine's house and take one of each of her shoes because he felt that he was entitled to 50% of everything.
Oh,
And he's just trying to make her life hell. What a fucker.
What an ass. One of each shoe.
He probably took the same one, so she couldn't even wear any pairs of shoes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, like left and right.
Took the right shoe, every right shoe.
Yeah, you know what? That's kind of funny. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, you're right.
Maybe that's a little evil genius inside of me.
Maybe. So unfortunately, though, Corey was not the brother that discovered the worst of what their father had hidden away. And it was far more disturbing than women's underwear, brass knuckles, firearms, or drug paraphernalia.
Listeners note, I have stopped eating my soup in anticipation.
In 2011, Corey and Dylan were on a road trip with Mark, and it was around 11 o'clock one night when Dylan tells Corey to come check something out. Dylan was laughing under his breath, and he told Corey to look at something on a laptop that he was using, Mark's laptop.
Aw.
So the two went into the bathroom so that Mark wouldn't see them. And as they're looking at this, Corey was taking pictures on his phone of what the two had found. What Dylan had discovered on his father's laptop was not something anyone would ever be prepared to see. The photos Dylan found on the laptop were of Mark, wearing women's bras and underwear, and even a wig. Nothing bad so far.
Yeah, whatever. I've seen that.
Waiting for the other shoe to drop here.
I mean, obviously there have definitely been others who've discovered their father secretly liked to cross-dress, so, no judgment there. However,
Live your life.
That's not even close to the worst part, though.
Oh, man.
The photos, which had clearly been taken by Mark inside his home, showed him with a diaper in his mouth. And this diaper had what appeared to be human feces in it.
Ew, no.
And he had wiped it all over his face.
Oh, it's so gross.
As they flipped through the photos, it became clear that Mark was indeed eating shit, presumably his own.
Ew, I mean,
God.
One up-close photo showed just the tip of Mark's shitty nose with his tongue sticking out a few inches from a pile of human feces in the diaper.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's so nasty.
And
what the fuck?
And there was brown sludge covering his lips, mustache, and cheeks.
Oh.
The final confirmation...
Oh, this sucks.
The final confirmation that this was indeed Mark's own feces was a photo showing Mark wearing said shitty diaper.
Oh, come on.
I told you. This is the grossest thing we'll probably ever cover.
Yeah, this is some shit. Literally. Quite literally.
Oh,
Oh, man. Oh.
So Corey told Dylan that they had to be careful with what they had seen. Corey, at this point in his relationship with his father, Mark, could pick and choose when he saw him, but Dylan could not.
Right.
Now, I have to say, I have seen these photos, which I will
Oh my
not...
God, they're public?
Which I will not share on our socials. And they are as...
I don't think you're allowed to.
Yeah, well, regardless, they're as nasty as you're imagining, okay?
Oh, God.
Yeah, I have seen them so that you do not have to.
Usually I'd hear something like that and be like, no, I can handle it. No, I'm actually not going to seek this one out.
It is fucking gross. And I have to say,
I'm all set.
have you watched the TV show Shameless?
Yes.
Some of it.
So, you know the character of Frank, played by William H. Macy?
Yes.
So the father of all the kids, right? So Mark Redwine kind of looks like Frank.
Oh.
Yeah.
God.
So, yeah, there's that.
So he's a real life Frank Gallagher, but to like the extreme.
But instead of
Frank
drinking...
Gallagher, 2 girls, 1 cup.
Oh.
Two Franks, 1 diaper.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Oh.
So, try as he might, Corey could not emotionally handle what he had seen. His main concern was making sure that Mark never found out about their discovery.
That is important to be safe, yeah.
As he personally distanced himself from his father even further, he also kept an eye on Mark's relationship with Dylan because he's obviously quite concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So they had found the pictures probably a little over a year before Dylan went up to that cabin that Thanksgiving. Now, Dylan hadn't seen a lot of Mark in that time. But 7 months after Corey and Dylan had found those photos, Dylan went on another road trip with him. But this time he was alone. Corey wasn't there. And Dylan kept asking Corey for the pictures he had taken on his phone. Apparently, Dylan wanted to confront Mark about them.
Ugh.
Now, Corey had a theory that maybe Dylan wanted to use his knowledge of these photos as leverage to get out of having to spend Thanksgiving with Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of a valid thing, but I don't want to spend time with you. I fucking saw this photo. Leave me alone or I'll go public with it or something. Who knows?
Right, when like the only safe thing to do would be to go directly public with it.
Correct. Now, one source I found stated that at this point, Corey sent one of those photos to Mark with a caption that read, "Hey, Dad, you are what you eat."
Oh, well, that's also not the
really-
best move either. Not going to keep your brother safe.
Well, Mark's response to him was something along the lines of, yeah, don't hurt your brother. Basically implying don't tell him, it will only hurt him.
Right.
So, but Mark obviously had no idea that Dylan already knew.
Mm-hmm.
So, jumping back to Dylan's disappearance, it's Christmas of 2012, and that came and went without anyone finding any signs of Dylan Redwine.
Oh, awful.
Then it's New Year's, and then it's his 14th birthday in February. Still nothing.
Oh, that's so sad.
By the summer of 2013, people were beginning to lose hope that they would find any trace of Dylan at all. And the search for him came to an end that summer. But then, on June 22nd, 2013, in deep canyons and thick forest, searchers, there are still people out there looking, recovered a Nike Jordan shoe, a boy's size 7. They also recovered a scrap of fabric from a pair of underwear and other pieces of clothing, and several small bones and a clavicle that were later identified as Dylan Redwine's remains. Years later, hikers would find a partial human skull in November of 2015, nearly 3 years after Dylan went missing. The partial skull that these hikers found showed evidence of foul play. A forensic anthropologist tasked with this case noted that there were 2 marks on the skull likely caused by a knife or some other sharp instrument.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and it was clearly used on the skull either at the time of death or directly before or after. So the skull also showed a nearly 2-inch long fracture above the left eye socket, which according to this anthropologist appeared to have been caused by blunt force trauma. Now, I didn't really go into this too deep, but Dylan's father, Mark, claimed he thinks that there were animals that had dragged whatever. He was either lost or dumped, and that he believed animals had dragged the remains as scattered as these were, because they weren't in the same place.
And the animals did blunt force trauma.
Right, and that's what the prosecution's argument was. There's no way animals caused this damage to the skull. But there's also some reports that claim that Mark had said to someone while Dylan was still missing that, well, without a body, they'll never be able to prove blunt force trauma.
Huh.
Right.
Wow.
It's a weird thing to say.
What a self-incriminating thing to say.
Exactly. Yeah. So where Dylan's remains were found were really hard to access by vehicle. But if one were to just go out and walk about another 100 feet, you could see Mark's house from where you were.
Oh, wow.
So as of July 2017, police used a GPS tracker that was on Mark's tractor trailer to hunt him down and eventually located him in Washington State, where they arrested him. A grand jury indicted him on second-degree murder and child abuse charges, and after years and years of investigation, they had quite a lot on Mark. Now,
did they have the poopy pictures? I mean, they must have.
And by now, yeah, they're out there. So many who had watched this case unfold in real time have questioned why it took them so long to finally consider Mark a suspect and arrest him.
Excellent question.
And
we're all wondering.
And it's especially frustrating because apparently cadaver dogs at the time that Dylan went missing back in 2012, they had notified investigators that there had been a body in contact with Mark's truck and in his home and on his clothing back in 2012.
Does this guy know the cops? Is that what's going on here?
I don't know.
Friends with some cops?
And apparently luminol confirmed Dylan's presence in the house itself. They found bloodstains on the couch and the corner of a coffee table and on the floor. And even though the defense tried to claim that his DNA was there from prior, whatever, because it wasn't that much blood, the problem was he had renovated the house because of a fire. And Dylan hadn't been there since those renovations.
Yep.
So his DNA wouldn't still have been randomly scattered about.
That is an excellent point.
Yep. And another argument they made was there wasn't enough blood. It was just a little bit. But experts have said that blunt force trauma injuries don't often mean significant blood loss.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that too.
Right, it's going to be internal bleeding.
Right. So Dylan's cause of death was never determined due to the scarce remains that were found. But he did have the blunt force injuries to his skull. So, we're doing the math, right? And they said it's likely that Dylan confronted his father about those photos that first night and everything escalated from there.
Mm-hmm.
Because the last activity on Dylan's phone was at almost 9 p.m. that first night, which means that Mark likely murdered his son before he went to sleep that first night.
That's so bad.
After his arrest in 2017, Mark Redwine pled not guilty to the charges. And
Sure he did.
And for whatever reason, it took them 3 years to get a trial date. So,
oh my God.
So his initial trial date was set for 2020, but that got pushed back because of COVID.
Of course.
Yep.
That fucking sucks.
But the weird thing that the judge did in that is he didn't just say, all right, we're going to delay the trial. He declared the first one a mistrial. And they had they had to start a second trial when they resumed in July of 2021.
That's absurd.
Right. And that's nearly 10 years after Dylan disappeared, which is fucking crazy. But
that is crazy.
Yeah, fucking nuts. But regardless of all that, on July 16th, the jury finally reached their verdict, and Mark Redwine was found guilty of one count of murder in the second degree. And at his sentencing, the judge said, quote, "The community needs to be protected from you. You need to be removed from society for a long period of time," unquote. Which is awesome. I love when they're assholes to people.
Yes.
Yep.
Excellent point, Judge. Well said.
So Mark Redwine was sentenced to 48 years in prison. And after the judge's decision, Mark continued to maintain his innocence, calling his sentence, quote unquote, fake justice. Like the asshole that he is. Yeah.
Uh-huh, like in fake news. Yeah, is that what we're saying?
That's what I think he's saying. And that is the case of Dylan Redwine. The nastiest case we'll fucking do, right?
That poor kid. God. That fucking sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it was kind of dumb of him to confront his father the way he did, but who would have thought your own father 13, would kill you?
Right?
Yeah, that's true. And that's what I mean. I would have done the same thing. I would have, if I found that about my father.
Do we know that he confronted his father?
We do not. Mark Redwine has never actually said what happened that night. He maintains his innocence that he woke up, went to run errands, and came back and Dylan was gone. So it's all speculation as to exactly what happened that night.
Oh my God.
Right, which is why, again, it's so unclear what supposedly happened the next morning because Mark's story wasn't exactly consistent.
Yep.
So, I mean, it sucks. This poor kid, he's living, first off, he's forced to spend time with this asshole. He knows that his father likes to eat shit-filled diapers while dressed as a woman, which is fucking, every aspect of that is weird.
Just nasty.
So weird. It almost, in my head, if I could sort of understand it if he had some bizarre fetish OnlyFans or something, but this is long before that. No.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was still,
Yeah, you're right. There's probably some type of website, but
there's always been a dark internet.
Yeah, that's true. But either way, it's fucked up. And why would you leave it in a place where your children could find it?
Right. You're clearly letting his children use this laptop.
Yeah, did you think two curious boys would not go digging through your folders? Moron.
Right? Like,
Ugh.
kids are curious.
Yeah. But yeah, so thank you everyone for joining us on our worst, grossest episode.
Yeah, hope y'all are all right. Hope everyone
I hope no
didn't
one.
throw up.
Right time.
I hope no one didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty gross. I'm like we said, we warned you and we gave you the trigger warning before I went into it, but nasty as fuck.
Trigger warning for poop.
Poop eating. We'll never.
Poop warning.
Yeah, I just again, it. I don't think I could ever eat shit, but eating it out of a diaper is even worse in my mind.
It's diabolical.
It's so weird and so gross. But anyway, thank you everyone once again. I am Janus Dead.
I'm Jameson Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.